Chapter 15. We left the village the next morning, and 2 of the villagers who seemed to have taken up the work accompanied us. The evening of the 3rd day we came to a village about 12 miles from the one where I had been and had looked over the records regarding John the Baptist. I was very anxious to have my associates look over these records, so we decided to stay over, and Just accompanied us to the village. After going over the records, my associates were deeply impressed, and we laid out a plan to map and follow out the travels as outlined in the records. That evening the master, who was with the 4th party, spent the night with us. He also brought messages from the 1st and 3rd parties. He had been born and raised in the village. His forefathers had written the records, and they have been in the family from that time on. It was claimed that he was the 5th generation removed from the writer, and that not one of the family had experienced death. They had all taken their bodies with them and could return at any time. We asked if it would be too much trouble for the writer of the records to come and talk with us. He said that it would not, and we arranged for the interview that evening. We had been seated but a few moments when a man whom we judged to be about 35 appeared suddenly in the room. He was introduced to us and all shook hands with him. We were all spellbound at his appearance, for we had imagined that he would be very old. He was above the medium height, with rugged features, but the kindliest face I have ever looked upon. That was a strength of character, back of every move. His whole being emanated a light that was beyond our power of comprehension. Before we were seated, Emil, Just, and the 2 strangers clasped hands in the center of the room and stood in perfect silence for a few moments. Then all were seated, and the one who had appeared in the room so suddenly began by saying, "You have asked for this interview in order to get a better understanding of the documents that have been read and interpreted for you. I will say that these records were made and kept by me, and those referring to that great soul John the Baptist, which seem to surprise you so greatly, are actual occurrences of the time he was with us here. These records show that he was a man of wide knowledge and wonderful intellect. He perceived that our teaching was true, but he apparently never came to the actual realization, for, had he done so, he would never have seen death. I have sat in this room and heard John and my father converse, and it was here that he received much of his teaching. It was here that Father passed on and took his body with him, and John beheld his passing. There are none of my family on father's or mother's side that have not taken their bodies with them in passing. This passing means the perfecting of the body spiritually until one becomes so conscious the deep spiritual meaning of life or God that one sees life as God sees it. Then one is privileged to reach the highest teaching, and from this realm one is able to help all. We never descend from this realm, for those who have reached this place never wish to descend. They know that life is all progress, a going forward. There is no turning back, and none wish to do so.